In this movie, I award Sanji and Zoro the badge of best bros for secretly harboring a deep respect for one another's fighting skills.
Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the crew. We think we're pretty funny, and we hope that you will too. This is the opening song to season 2. It's where the journey really starts because we've made it out of East Blue. We've got our snacks and we've got our friends. Now it's time to discuss the anime that never ends. Yeah! Start the show!
Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line. Welcome to episode 40 of King of the What Now. If you haven't heard us in a while, or this is your first episode, we're a podcast. We discuss One Piece. Usually the anime, the specials, the movies, all that good stuff. But, sometimes we bring in discussions of the manga as well.
Or just random crap.
Yeah, sometimes we go on tangents and that just kind of happens. We like to make a lot of reference jokes. Today we are, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Joel, the captain, and a longtime fan of the series, One Piece. And today, I'm an inept goalie who can't seem to block any shots except for those that are shot directly at my face. And, with me as always is my co-host, Curtis.
Yeah, and I'm a One Piece, novice now.
Yes.
And I am also a random spectator in a sports venue in Luffy's dreams.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. Now, normally we discuss the anime episodes, but when there are movies or specials that kind of align with the timeline, that's what we tackle. So today we just finished watching the third One Piece movie, Chopper and the Island of Strange Animals, something like that. One Piece movie 3. And then Soccer King something or another. It's a special that came on the DVD in Japan. And I don't have that information directly in front of me, so I apologize. It's the soccer one. It's a 5-minute special.
Yes, with soccer balls and soccer goals, or for anybody who's not in the U.S., football balls and football goals.
Absolutely. And it's kind of it starts in media res. We can get to that in a second. Curtis, you have a very important duty. Are you ready for this? Do you accept this responsibility onto your shoulder?
I do.
Okay, good. I need you to tell me the plot of the third One Piece movie.
Okay, so we're gonna do the third one, not the soccer yet.
No, we're gonna do the movie first.
Okay. The plot is they go to an island and there's a young boy there who doesn't like pirates, and they have to show them that pirates are okay.
Interesting. Okay.
That is the plot of every One Piece movie. Do you want the actual plot? Like the plot of this movie specifically?
Yes, please.
So they go to an island looking for treasure. The island is called Crown
Island, and it's like the crown treasure, I believe.
Yeah. It's an island full of animals, and there's the animal king there. Their current animal king, the Kirin lion, has died, and they need a new king. And the heavens will deliver them a king. And it just so happens that Chopper got launched from the ship, which was flying over the island for reasons, and falls down. And they're like, it is our new animal king.
Of course.
So he is their king. Turns out there are 3 other people on the island, so that the Straw Hat crew gets off the boat and gets on the island. Mm-hmm. These 3 other people are there looking for the treasure. They know that the treasure is in the horn of an animal. So they have been manipulating these animals that are called horn eaters, and they hunt down the other animals with horns for them so that they can try to eat all these other horns, hoping that one of them has the special power they're supposed to get.
They set sail looking for the animal horns that would make their dreams of power come true. Yes. Ever since zoologists have taken to the seas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're looking for the one horn, which in this case is actually more than one horn.
That is absolutely true.
It turns out that the old Kirin lion, the former king, had like 8 horns or something growing out of his head that were golden. And if you eat those, you become super powerful. So what ends up happening is the leader of these 3 zoologists gets a hold of the horns through events and eats them. And he turns into this giant animal bear man lion thing.
Yep.
And then ends up fighting Luffy, and Luffy defeats him by crushing the horns, so his new horns that grew out of his head, so he loses all of his power. Also, there's no longer horns to pass down the power of the king, and then punches him after it becomes this weird skinny zombie man.
He basically he not only loses all of the extra strength that he got, but he loses what little strength he had in his original form, and he basically becomes an emaciated man who has no muscle mass.
Yep. So then he launches him off, and he becomes a little speck on the horizon.
Yeah.
And then the kid on the island, who was there because his dad was also with the zoologist, but wanted to save the animals, and so the other 3 zoologists killed him. He becomes the new animal king. And
how progressive. The animals finally allowed a human into the prestigious ranks of Animal King.
Mm-hmm.
That, or the humans are starting to, I don't know if gentrify is the right term, but they've kind of invaded, and they've put their flag in that mountain.
Yep. So he's now the new Animal King, and then the Straw Hats leave, and that's that movie. I glossed over the fight scene you'll want to talk about.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of plot, it's more, there are some bad guys, and specifically they want the horns, and that's this island's treasure. So check that off of the bingo sheet, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then do you also, we can do a second summary for the soccer adventure. I think that'll be a kind of short and quick thing at the end of this episode. Okay, what did you think of the One Piece movie 3?
It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't spectacular, nothing groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little disappointed that Chopper wasn't more involved in any of the big fights. He was briefly involved in the final fight. But he's actually a fairly strong character.
Yes.
And the fact that Luffy was the one that took out the main villain was kind of isn't this Chopper's movie?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it really heavily features him. And when I say seems like, he's in the title. He becomes the Animal King. The opening scene before they come to the island is more or less Chopper, his resolve somewhat wavering, and by the end of the movie he's resolved that. But I think it would be much better if he had delivered the final blow.
Yeah, well, and he didn't I wouldn't say he didn't become extra more courageous or anything. I think the point is that they want things to be about the same they were when the movie started, because it's not supposed to progress anything.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption is that if there's a point where he becomes more fighting fit, it's going to be in this show.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting the way that they had the different character tropes play out on each other. The villains were, at one point, I haven't seen these. I've seen the final fight scenes on YouTube or in AMVs and stuff like that, but I hadn't seen the slower paced scenes that give the fights context. And the bad guy, Butler, is his name. He's the leader zoologist.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he might be Buggy's little brother from the way he acts and stuff. He has a jacket that says evil on the back of it, and he gets really mad when he tries to eat these horns without any mustard, and he thinks that he's the greatest evil genius in all the world, and he gets really mad if you attack his head because, this is the head of the most amazing genius in the world.
And he just tells people everything he knows.
Yeah, that's his character trait. His underlings will say, well, that's just his personality. He can't keep secrets. He's incapable of it.
Which is maybe he shouldn't be in charge of anything.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And I'm not sure what gave him the impression that he was a genius.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of decided that people should call him that.
And then we've got the other two are there's General Hot Dog.
Yep.
He has the world's strongest kicks.
Yes.
And
self-proclaimed.
Yes. And then there is President Snake, who is a swordsman who is very good and also is the most suave person
or most handsome.
Yeah, I think he was the most handsome. So obviously we've got some tension here between these two and Sanji and Zoro.
Which is but it's interesting though, because Hot Dog is talking about how strong his kicks are. And he also talks about how he's the strongest. So he's got the kicks, which should allure to Sanji to some degree if he wanted to be competitive, but the I'm the strongest specifically calls out Zoro.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy fights with a sword, which is Zoro's area of expertise, but also he's talking about being handsome, and that irks Sanji. So there's a little bit of a mix-up there, which is kind of mostly explicitly called out. It's pretty strongly stated at one point.
Mm-hmm.
General Hot Dog and Prince Snake.
President
Snake. Sorry, I'm getting him and Sanji confused because Sanji calls himself Prince yet again in this episode, which aligns quite nicely with the last episode of the anime that we'd watched, where Sanji told Vivi that he would be her prince. And I do kind of like Hot Dog's appearance. He seems like the sort of person who would proclaim themselves to be the strongest because he is definitely, very bulky, very top heavy. And yeah, what did Zoro, so Zoro, Sanji, Luffy, and Chopper are kind of the fighters who take out these three members of the enemy crew. What role do Nami and Usopp play in this movie, Curtis? What do they do with their runtime?
They run around and run away from stuff. Okay. And then they trap a herd of animals.
They trap the horners. That's right. They keep the horn animals safe.
They stand there while Butler plays a violin to hypnotize these animals, and then they just watch for like a good solid 2 minutes while these animals charge from the distance, as opposed to taking care of the violin that he's using to hypnotize them.
As we both noted when watching the movie, Usopp has a long-range, explosive-type attack, and he's an expert marksman, and he's literally has line of sight on the guy who is using this tool. I don't understand why he couldn't have done that. But I mean, I guess it's kind of cool the way that Usopp and Nami worked together in order to trap those things. I'm gonna put that in the column of combo attacks, which I don't think we've technically gotten the first combo attack in the show so far. No, we did.
We did with Luffy and Sanji. Because Sanji grabs Luffy's leg, and then
Sanji grabbed Luffy's leg? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, wait. No, you're right. It was the other way around. And then Sanji launched Luffy, and then he did some
into
sort of
Wapple
attack.
Or something. Yeah, I thought there was another place. It doesn't matter. We have another combo attack, kind of, where Nami does the calculations. Interesting, but she basically figures out where Usopp can launch his explosion in order to make the rocks trap them.
There was another combo attack with Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy.
That's right.
I don't remember which episode.
The Sandora Dragon. It was trying to eat lashes, and then they all attacked.
That's right. Okay. That's right.
We remember things on this podcast.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Where am I? Who are you? Why is there a microphone in front of me?
All right, Grandpa Curtis, I'm sorry to tell you this way, but you've got to come up with some entertaining stuff to...
Why are there kids on my lawn? Get them off!
Hey, Curtis, did any of this movie feel like filler? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Who would you give MVP of this episode? That's a question we haven't asked in a while.
Well, unfortunately, it's not Chopper. Even though it's his movie.
Yeah.
He is always the bridesmaid, never the bride, even when he's the bride. That's actually very sad now that I think about it. I would give it to, I guess, Luffy. Because, I mean, he really is the only one
de facto?
Yeah, I mean, he defeats the main bad guy.
Sorry, go ahead.
Either him or the kid whose name isn't Mowgli.
It's Mobambi, I think.
Yeah, he just reminds me a lot of Mowgli from
the
Jungle Book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a similar situation in that.
I really do think that you will see this as you get into more arcs. So far, you haven't seen a lot of the longer ones, but many of them do take allusions from common folk stories and stories that people around the world kind of know. We get something that is a little reminiscent of Jack and the Beanstalk at one point. You get something that... And so I think that the fact that it's a young human boy who lives on an island of animals, that's probably intentional. Yeah. Mo Bambi is his name, just to double check. Mo Bambi.
So, like, you want... I saw Bambi
or Mo Bambi?
Yeah, I saw Bambi once, and I'm really sad that I didn't get any Mo Bambi.
Mo Bambi. Okay. Yeah... I do think it's kind of interesting that Chopper has this sort of, I don't really necessarily want to fight. I don't want to be the pirate, or not pirate king, the animal king.
If he was the animal king and then Luffy became the pirate king, would they have to like fight each other?
No, I think they would be two different kings under the same empire, or maybe different kingdoms, but, you know, they wouldn't necessarily have to fight each other. Yeah, so Chopper's arc in this movie is that he basically doesn't want to he's afraid of the dangers ahead, briefly, and then also he doesn't want to be the animal king. But once he realizes that they're in trouble, he helps them by distracting the horn eaters from attacking the other animals. So that is kind of a growing moment for him a little bit. He realizes to fight for other people. I don't know if we necessarily got that from him on Drum Island, necessarily.
Yeah.
That was mostly fighting for his own beliefs at that time. But I think we could have come up with something more. Maybe he could have come up with gone against some kind of evil doctor that in some way doesn't believe in the same thing that Chopper does, and it could be Chopper's belief.
Yeah, but they don't want to do anything like character moving.
Okay,
but I still feel like he could have taken out the enemy himself at the end. Like that doesn't need to progress his character at all. We've already seen him beat people. He beat up Wapol, didn't he?
No, he fought Chess Morimo.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But my point is he's fought people who are fairly strong before. And I mean, they didn't really set. I guess he was super strong at the end, but it struck me that he's not crocodile level strong. So the butler, the new Kieran Butler. So I feel like it's not making a power level increase statement to have him defeat him.
Okay.
It seems to me if you're gonna make a movie that centers around your newest character, he should do a little bit more.
Well, and they have the arc that we've seen before with the child who doesn't like pirates by the end. So Luffy's he's the protagonist and he beats the bad guys, but if he somehow couldn't fight or is taken out, he does have another characteristic that's very central to his character. He inspires people. That's what he did with Kobe. He kind of got Nami to believe in people again, all this other stuff. And so I could easily see Luffy explaining to Chopper and Mobambi, hey, look, you need to fight for what you believe in. And then the final battle could have been Chopper and Mobambi as a tag team taking on the bad guy. That would have been really interesting. The only problem is then you'd have to have a character who could take out Luffy, and then I don't know. I think that it could be rewritten a little bit as a standalone kind of filler-esque thing. It's not bad.
No, I like the fights with Sanji and Zoro were good.
I was about to say, let's talk about the probably best thing in this entire movie, other than the square rhinos. That part was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. They're just sitting on these rocks, and then all of a sudden all these animals start running away, and the rocks get up and run away, and then you realize, oh, they're rhinos, but they're square.
They're square rock rhinos that, when they're standing still, look just like rocks.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting. Nami tricking a goat into going somewhere because she had a fishing pole with a piece of paper on the end of it. She was like, you can eat the piece of paper. That was kind of cute. I like that a little bit. But the real scene for me that highlights this movie getting something right, or being just something we haven't seen before, we already know that Sanji and Zoro kind of call each other out in different ways. Both in this movie and in the anime, when Sanji's going on about, you can call me Prince, Zoro calls him out for you, yeah, you're my prince, all right, and they get mad at each other. And Zoro calls out Sanji for womanizing and such. But they end up fighting opponents that resemble the other one. So Zoro fights a guy who kicks really hard, Sanji fights a swordsman, and both of them have a line at the end of their fight when they win about, yeah, your kicks are okay, but they're nowhere near as strong as this other guy's kicks, even if he is a jerk. And Sanji says something about, your sword can't really cut me, because compared to that guy, it's not really all that great. We do fall into the motif of someone telling Sanji that he can't protect anyone, I swear to goodness, if people would just stop telling him that he's weak, he would lose, because that seems to be the thing that gives him his power boost to push through that final round of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Zoro's strength comes from the removal of his shirt. I'm pretty sure that's what this movie's trying to tell me.
Yeah, no, it's like an escalating thing where he puts on his bandana, he takes off his shirt, but when both things happen, then you know, shit's hit the fan.
Yes, he also likes to start a lot of his fight with just one sword drawn, but once he draws the other two, so there's all three of those, and if you get them, it's like a bingo situation or the triangle of destruction. But I mean, yeah, there's not a whole lot more to talk about here. They did at the end make Mobambi the king, which you already pointed out, and now that the crown's been destroyed, the horn's been destroyed, it doesn't seem likely that they're going to be attacked by people looking. Well, people will still come, possibly looking for the treasure, but it's not possible for someone else to come and use that power to usurp them or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, hooray!
Oh, you have something else?
I have one more thing about this movie that I kind of like. The Mobambi enjoys Chopper's presence. He's like, "You're the king who's going to save us because you're the king, and that's just what they're supposed to do." And eventually, when Luffy shows up and goes, "We want to take Chopper," Mobambi points out, "Chopper's my Nakama, my friend, and I want him to stay here." And Luffy goes, "Well, he's my Nakama, he's my friend." When we move into the final act, and Chopper is putting his life on the line by running from the herd animals and trying to outrun them and all this other stuff, Luffy says, you can't just say that someone's your Nakama just because they happen to be close to you. You have to show it with your actions. And I do like that. That is something that we haven't necessarily seen in the anime so far, is you can't just say someone's your friend. You got to fight with them, trust in them, protect them. All of those things are part of the recipe that makes friendship stew. All right. And I think you wanted to move on?
I want to make sure we didn't forget about the soccer, the more important of these two episodes. Yes, of course.
We know how soccer brings us all together in a little competition, really. Mm-hmm. So why don't you tell us about this special that just has such a great start that just sets up the action so well?
Yeah. So here's the episode summary, right?
Mm-hmm.
The shootout between the Straw Hat Pirates and a team comprised of lesser villains with Kobe as the goalie.
Yes, exactly. And it seems to be whoever gets the most points will win.
Mm-hmm.
The Straw Hats are the 5 male members of the Straw Hats. Vivi and Nami are present, but they are delegated to cheerleader role because, I mean, that sells more merch, I assume. Women can't play soccer. Apparently that's the point that this movie is trying to make.
Yeah, I think that's the sole point of this. This is actually a very strong messaged movie about gender roles.
Yeah, so that's what's going on with the 7 Karus also in the stands cheering them on.
Yeah, because ducks can't play soccer either. So this is also a species role thing.
Mm-hmm. Right after we had those, we got the new Animal King, who wasn't an animal, and now he started to take away their sports. He knows that's the true way to keep humans in power and supremacy. Do you want to just give your favorite part of the soccer? Whose shot was the most interesting?
Well, no, so okay, I'll get to that in a second. I guess I'll do that first then. So it comes down to Sanji, and they're tied, and if the Straw Hats get one more point, they'll win.
Mm-hmm.
Sanji kicks the ball real hard, and it goes over the goal and out of the stadium.
Yep,
and
flies
then
in the stratosphere.
Yeah, and so then they're all like, oh, well, I guess we're going to have to do a sudden death shootout now. But then someone gets a call, and you hear over the intercom, wait a minute. There's been an unidentified flying object spotted over the Grand Line. It looks like a soccer ball, and it's coming this way. Sanji kicked it so hard that it went around the world and came back, and then made the goal.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. And, we all knew that his kick was that powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this boy's corner since he was first introduced. Swirly Prince Boy, he's great. But yeah, no, apparently the soccer ball just went all the way around the world.
You know what I just realized?
Okay.
We had confirmation in this episode. Chopper has more powerful kicks than Sanji. He kicked the ball so hard it popped.
Oh, that's true.
But Sanji's didn't pop the ball.
Maybe one of them maybe Chopper has raw power, but he doesn't have like the finesse, whereas Sanji does. Maybe you could do some kind of like ice sculpture contest where you're only allowed to use your feet. That's a weird analogy that came to my mind right there.
The true test of foot abilities.
I mean, I could see that happening in One Piece, couldn't you? Sanji goes up against an opponent. My kicks are strong, and they end up sculpting a... But, no, so Sanji might have more control, more finesse, and he might be able to do, like, a curveball kick. I know that you can do that in tennis.
The other bit I want to talk about is on the villain side. I think they had one fewer people than the Straw Hats.
Yep, they only had 4, I believe.
And so they need one more person to kick for them. And someone whose name is, what's the character's name?
Odachi, I think?
Odachi comes down. He's got like a head that looks like a soccer ball and like kind of like pigtails that are held together by soccer balls. And he kicks it straight at Kobe, and Kobe catches it, so there's no goal. And so then the villains start beating him up because they're like, "You're not really one of us." Apparently, that's Oda. That's like Oda's standing character. So Oda wrote himself into this little special as failing to make a kick. I don't know if it's purposefully to help the Straw Hats or not. And then getting beat up by some of the lesser villains.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of interesting to have him inserted into the show. I don't think that he actually has the soccer ball tattoos on his head,
Are
though,
you sure?
So,
Have you ever seen Oda?
Sure. So I would think that, I don't know, I thought it would be kind of more interesting if they had made the character look a little bit more, maybe that's his idealized version. Maybe he wants to be a soccer ball, and so that was the most interesting way you could insert him into the... now, did this episode feel like filler at all to you?
Yes, but... This one ends, and Luffy wakes up, and it was all a dream. And then he goes and he kicks Usopp in the butt, because he thought his butt was a soccer ball. It could theoretically be, canon.
It's canon that Luffy had a dream about the soccer match. Okay, yeah. I get you there. And, just really quick, I pulled up the Wikipedia article just to make sure we weren't missing anyone. And you're correct that there are 4 villain members on the villain team, and there's 5 on the Straw Hat team.
Yeah, because it's Hachi. Oh, sorry. It's Hachi, Buggy, give me a minute. I'll get it. I don't remember any of the other people.
Mr. 2 from Brokeworks. Yeah. And Django the Hypnotist.
Yeah.
So, like you said, and like I pointed out earlier, not really top tier villains. Buggy is the villain of his own arc, but there's no Don Krieg, there's no Arlong, there's no Crocodile, and Crocodile makes sense, because this movie did come out before the anime had reached the true fight with Crocodile, before he'd really shown up. But it just seems like maybe they picked random people, maybe they picked the most flamboyant, maybe they were just trying to have the most color on screen.
Yeah. That's probably it.
Yeah. I'm also disappointed that Zoro didn't use his swords in some way. Because I know you can't cut a soccer ball, but imagine if he had done his Tatsumaki, the dragon twister attack, to try to throw the ball, and it went nowhere near the goalpost. And they were like, Zoro, what were you doing? And you went, oh, I should have realized. I could see that being in canon. Gives them a chance to have an even score.
No, that'd be great. Yeah, because, Sanji, that's his thing, is kicking. But I can't remember what Luffy did.
He stretched his leg out super far and kicked it, and he easily scored.
Yeah, that's right. That was the first thing. That's how it opened. I was still trying to process what was going on when we were watching it at that point. So
yeah, because it doesn't start with any kind of introduction. It doesn't say, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the shooting match. It's 2000 and X or whatever. It just starts with Luffy going straight in and kicking the ball, and then you see Luffy and Nami going, woo! And you're like, all right. They just throw you in. All right, here's a random tangent. What sport would you like to see the Straw Hats tackle? Now, it could be the entire team, like all 7 of them, Vivi and Nami and Chopper and all them, or it could be 2 or 3 members of the Straw Hats while the rest of them cheer them on.
Curling.
Okay.
I want to see them curl. I want it to be Chopper and Sanji and Zoro.
Okay, why?
Because, I don't know, I think it'd be funny to see them curling.
Okay.
specifically, obviously, Chopper, because I think he'd have an easier time on the ice. But then, I guess, I don't know if Sanji makes sense. Zoro, I feel like, would be either good as a sweeper or like the pusher person.
Okay, well, we have seen his 3 mop style method of cleaning up hallways.
Yes, so
he'd be really effective.
He'd be a sweeper. And I don't know what the positions in Curlin are called, but the guy with the broom in the front seems like it should be called a sweeper. And then I guess let's get Sanji out of there, and let's do. So I think there are 3 people, right? There's like 2 people sweeping and 1 person pushing the curling stone.
You chose what I feel is a more obscure sport compared to the more popular ones, and so don't expect me to be able to help you out here.
I think I don't know, maybe Usopp.
Okay, I mean he is the strategist, the tactician, the sniper, so maybe he would be able to figure out the exact right way to move the puck or whatever. Yeah, if that is in fact what it's called.
I don't know what it is. We'll say the curling stone puck.
All right, perfect. Me personally, I would love to see something that was a little bit more physical. I know a traditional soccer match can be more, you try to take the ball from each other and such, but this was a shootout where each person kind of only went on their own. But something like football or maybe basketball, something with a lot of movement where they're all on the field at the same time, could be more, or court, depending on which sport, but could be a lot more interesting because then you could have things like Usopp trying to snipe someone from the stands, you could have Django trying to hypnotize someone, you could have Luffy doing his gum attacks.
I know one.
Okay.
Doubles tennis.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so you'd have like, I think it'd be Zoro and somebody, and then Sanji and Nami on the other side.
I think Zoro and Sanji should be forced on the same team, and then their competitive nature with each other could be one of the reasons why they get knocked out if they do. And they have to learn how to work together.
Yeah.
I can't think of any villains that might work well with tennis. I could see Mr. 3. He's such a man of refinement that I could see him being a golf man. Not tennis necessarily. Maybe tennis. Tennis would be okay for him. But yeah, I think that about wraps up our unexpected sports talk segment.
Welcome to King of the Sports now, where we talk about different sports because we are now King of the Sports.
We at one point
Kings
were going to talk. I mean, we briefly floated doing a Prince of Tennis, but we realized that a prince is not the same thing as a king, so that's clearly out. Jaden Yuki is trying to be king of games, so we could obviously bring that in. There's Shaman King, which I mean has it right there. Ultimate Muscle, I think that they want to be the strongest as well.
I never saw Ultimate Muscle.
Dude, episode 77 where he had to turn his shoulders into lemons. I watched...
Are you kidding or not?
Okay, I was quoting the episode verbatim, but it's because the main character's an idiot. He doesn't actually try to turn his shoulders into lemons. It's a metaphor for you gotta turn your lemons into lemonade. And his shoulder is his lemon.
Okay.
But we can branch this King of the What now into other fields if we wanted to.
I think you and I are both, as everybody knows about us, we're really big sports jocks, and so I think this would be the ideal topic for us to talk about. I don't know why we started with One Piece. Why didn't we just start with the sports podcast, Joel?
Jack, are you okay? You having your little nightmares? I can't even tell if you're getting picked up because I hear you, but I can't tell if that's through the headphones. Hey, Jack. Good morning, buddy. Now, it's very important before we wrap this all up that we have to talk about our sponsor this week. And so what we have this week is it's actually an advertisement for a movie, if you can believe that. They haven't released an official trailer yet. They're still cutting all of that together. It's easier to just have, a podcaster read from a script or whatever. Coming next year, it's Marinara Sauce, the movie. The most high-packed intensity action scenes you've ever seen. Go undercover with Detective Romero, who is trying to solve the murder of the Lasagna twins. Get ready to throw in with some of the spiciest romance ever seen on screen. Be prepared to see the meatballs go flying this way and that in some of the most high-intensity action shots that this world can ever handle. Watch it in 6000K high-definition ultra theater. This will have you gripping the sides of your seat, wondering, will Detective Romero make it out? What about the oven? Has it been prepped?
My God, Jim! If the oven gets to 425 degrees, we're all baked! We gotta run! Ah!
Revenge is a dish best served al dente.
This film is not yet rated.
Well, are we going to talk about the trailer at all?
What?
We can talk about the trailer at all?
Talk about what trailer?
The movie trailer.
I mean, it hasn't been released yet, is what I was saying, right? So we just got kind of like some...
Well, yeah, but I was looking through the list of the actors in that.
Okay.
Some of these people I've never heard of before. So, like, specifically the female lead is played by someone named Sarah Snicks.
Sarah Snicks, okay.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I saw a picture, and she just seems very, like, her tongue kind of, like, goes from out of her lips. It's weird. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see, new actors coming up, so. Yeah,
it has a nice, diverse cast. The director is world-famous director Goofy Shoots. Goofy Shoots is, of course, his pen name, but no one knows what his face actually looks like. He did that really great show last year, The Linguini is Loose. So
he's just got a thing for Italian food.
Yeah, he seems to really enjoy pastas of different varieties. I hear that he's working on a trilogy that'll combine different types of cuisine together. It's really going to be a full course meal when you look at it all together. It's going to be a cinematic universe like that.
I think that's actually the title of that's like the movie title that they give like the fake movie title. Right now it's full course meal. So.
Yeah, and you better save some room for dessert. Okay. We try to bring our energy to this podcast sometimes, but, we've talked about this before, how filler episodes don't have that right level of kind of Oda flavoring. I don't know how to describe it exactly.
They don't have a special sauce, the special Oda seasoning that he sprinkles over the everything in the TV show and the manga, which I haven't read.
No, the manga is great. Also, I want to give a shout out to, I don't actually know what he goes by on Twitter, but his name is Grant, and he goes through the manga from the very beginning, and he posts panels of really good shots where the angle is really good and the ink is really good. Hang on. Wait. I'm sensing something in the air. Ooh, baba, baba, baba. Ooh, baba, baba, baba. Ooh, baba, 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 baba. Speak, apparition.
His Twitter handle is Grant the Thief. And he is the co-host of the Super Senpai podcast and the Blade Licking Thieves podcast. He's a cool dude. Everybody should check him out. We like him.
Yeah, we've started to become a little bit more active in the Twitter sphere. Catherine's actually been pretty good about finding people. It's just taken me a while to kind of catch up with all of these cool people. I might have also given Grant a plug already. Next week I'll bring up someone else if I remember. Chances are that I won't, because I'm pretty forgetful. Okay, but like I was trying to say before I got distracted, there is something about the One Piece series that you can break down the characters, you can break down the humor, you can break down the fight scenes and all this other stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that are great, but even if you took another series that had all of those things, good characters, good jokes, good actions, interesting world building, it still wouldn't quite feel like Oda. He has a very distinctive way of writing. And this movie, like all of the other early movies, didn't really have any of his input. And so it has the components that should make a nice One Piece story. You've got, the crew gets separated. You have some bad guy who's antithetical to the main characters. You have people who didn't like pirates or didn't like Luffy or whatever, whose lives are made better by Luffy's appearance. But there wasn't a lot to talk about because it was just it was bland. I would recommend checking it out just for that scene with Sanji and Zoro and Luffy picking up this beast that's much bigger than him and smashing the horns. Those are all really cool, but the build-up, there's just a lot of it. Even though there isn't that much of it, it feels like a lot. So I probably wouldn't give this movie any more than, say, like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10. Curtis, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with our wonderful listeners?
I think to rank the movies real quick.
Okay.
Can you remind me what all the movies are now?
The second one is the Clockwork Island Adventure.
Oh, that's right.
Where the bad guys were named after, were they different suits?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, card suits.
I knew it was card related. I couldn't remember if it was like the suits or if it was like Jack and Queen or
yeah. I just want to clarify that it was card suits and not like
suits.
He's like a double breast.
Yeah, there you go.
3-piece
with a blazer. Okay, the second one was the Clockwork Island Adventure. The first one was the Odin Pirates, wasn't it? I think wasn't that the One Piece movie?
Oh, with the crab guy.
No, that was a special.
Oh, you're right.
They wanted to find not the Great Pirate Ganzak. That's the first one. Now I have to look it up again.
While Joel's searching, it's time for the mini segment. Curtis fills time.
No, it's literally called
the segment's over.
One Piece the movie, and they're looking for the treasure of the Great Gold Pirate Wunan. Remember? And his brother owned the Odin shop.
Oh, this is at the bottom of the sea in the hole, right?
No, that's a different one. That's a special. Okay.
Are you sure?
I am 100% positive. They meet a little boy who's looking for a treasure, and they don't know if the treasure exists.
But that's all of them.
No.
I swear that one is also the...
Adventure in the...
Oh, and they get to the top of the mountain, and there's like a cave there or something.
And he's like, I was wrong, my brother was right. Yeah. It's the friends he made along the way that's more important. Okay. So there are treasures in both of them. The Wunan is a famous pirate who had like a third of the world's money or something like that, and then he disappeared. No one knew where he was. Okay. And then the Ocean's Navel was they got sucked into the Ocean's Navel, and bad pirates many years ago had been looking for a treasure and unleashed the giant crab, the giant pincushion, and
I guess we must have watched them around the same time or something because those
early ones really blend together. And the Great Pirate Ganzak was about a guy who wanted to build a giant cannon. Which is also what the guy in Clockwork Island wanted to do. Yeah. But... Okay,
so I'm going to rank them.
All 5.
No, just 3.
Okay.
Just the 3 movies. I'm leaving I don't want to start lumping the specials in because I already got them confused with the movies.
Fair
and
enough.
If I don't categorize them now, my brain is going to forever mix them together.
Okay.
All right. So, number 3 on the list.
As in your least favorite of these
My least favorite of the 3. Is going to be the animals. The Animal Kingdom.
Okay, the one that we just watched?
Yes. Okay. Number 2 is going to be Wunan. Okay. I don't remember the name of the movie.
It's just the One Piece movie.
The
One Piece the movie, I think.
One Piece the movie is number 2 on my list. Number 1 on my list is the second One Piece movie. Clockwork Island.
Okay.
Because it's got clockwork in it. I don't know. I had to find some way to rank them.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, there was the scene where Zoro blocked the quill blades to protect Luffy. That was a pretty cool scene. I don't know if that ranks higher than this movie with Zoro fighting the Sanji-like opponent and Sanji fighting the Zoro-like opponent.
I forgot about that. Like, if we were just doing fight scenes, I think that would probably come to the top of all of them. Because I don't think the other ones had good fight scenes.
Yeah, there was a part... Okay, I would say I think the first one's the weakest in terms of cinematography, in terms of how the fight scenes play out, and the characters don't really do anything interesting. I believe Luffy was the only one who fought in that. Zoro fought the guy who was obsessed with money. Do you remember that? He was the second in command. He was like he looked like a Native American, and every time he was about to fight, he took like 5 gold from Wunan.
That's right,
and so I was like, you have no pride in your sword.
That's right, yeah.
But neither of those were interesting. I
think my problem is I'm ranking them based off of like the one identifying feature I can remember about them. And in the most recent one, I'm just thinking, oh, it's the one where Chopper didn't really do anything. And the second one, it's kind of like, oh, it's the Clockwork one. And the first one, I just remember, that one had noodles. That's literally all I remember about it.
Yeah, I think there's details that I'm definitely missing. I think personally, I would find the first one the least interesting. There were fewer characters to play off of each other.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And then I think I would put... I would say it's a tie between number 3 and number 2. Neither of them are strong enough contenders to just take the number 1 spot in my book.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can do a better list later on as we get more.
Are you saying that you want to sit down and binge all of the first 8 movies in one session and then immediately afterwards just be like, here's what we wrote down in our notebooks. They look like the writings of a crazy person.
Yeah. There's the one where like the animals are talking, and it's not that other one where the animals talk. It's this one where the animals talk.
Yeah. Okay. So that has been your doot.
Final thought.
Outro goes here. In this One Piece special, I award the villains the Mismatched Teammates badge for heavily featuring a lot of side villains and not a lot of main villains. I think that Crocodile and Arlong could have brought a lot more to this party. So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.